Do you ever find yourself missing a past version of your life, even while trying to be grateful for where you are now? Maybe it was a season when your body felt stronger, or your house was fuller, or your kids were smaller. But now you're here in a new season, and it's beautiful and hard all at once. Welcome to Motherhood and the Messy Middle, where we're talking about the tug of war between honoring the past and embracing the present, even when it feels messy and honestly, it's just all moving a little bit too fast. Welcome to Motherhood and the Messy Middle, where grade school meets grown kids, hot flashes meet holy fire, and no topic is too messy for this village. I'm Robin, one half of the voice behind this podcast. Nicole and I are two moms who slid into each other's DMs and built a virtual village where we are inviting you into our honest, healing, and often hilarious conversations that help you feel not so alone in the beautiful chaos of motherhood and midlife. We talk about what it really means to mother, to grow, to fall apart, and rebuild, spiritually, emotionally, hormonally, and sometimes all before breakfast. So whether you're in the thick of motherhood, facing perimenopause, praying hard, or just tired of pretending you're fine, this space is for you. Let's dive in. Oof, Nicole, this episode topic, ooh, it's one that, talk about the messy middle. I feel like I'm a mess. I'm constantly wrestling with.
Yeah.
Time is just moving so fast.
Yeah,
So fast.
I know.
I feel like I can barely catch my breath to be present in one season and enjoy it in motherhood. And then it blink, it's gone. And now I have a whole new set of circumstances that I'm having to learn and navigate.
Do you feel like you get like there's something that happens, the tightness in my chest
Mm,
that happens in motherhood
mm.
when I think about how fast the time is going and have I done enough and did
Ooh.
I miss out on the good
Oh,
and
now I'm feeling it.
oh, but there's like something like nothing else is ever compared to like that like nausea. I don't know what it is. And I assume other
Well,
mothers feel the
it's your
same
heart
way.
chakra, first of all. So if you want to
That's
talk about
true.
your energy centers, I mean, it's literally so for those of you that don't know, I am a Reiki master teacher, but part of my specialty is merging all of this woo-woo stuff with science. So where soul
Mhm.
meets science. And there are now different ways that we can actually measure the energy fields that we have, but we have these energy centers that run along the central line of our body, and the center of those energy centers is our heart chakra.
Mhm.
And if you hear chakra, that's just us kind of butchering it in the United States, but it's actually chakra in
Huh.
Sanskrit, which means wheel. And
Oh,
so all of these energy centers are like wheels, and they're spheres or cones, you can think of them as, and they're
okay.
constantly moving, and they're moving
Mhm.
energy because emotion means energy in
Yeah.
motion. And your heart chakra, when I say to people, you know what it feels like for your heart to break and your heart to
Mhm.
burst. That's very
Mhm.
different than your heart organ. It's an
Mhm.
energy center. But literally, our language defines those. Or when we say we have a frog in our throat, that's the throat chakra. But what
Yeah.
you're describing when you say that, and then I start feeling it too, it's that empathic part of me that when I'm
Mhm.
connected, I really start feeling it in my body. And yes, there is this tightness, and I wonder if part of it is like this holding on because we're
Yeah.
trying to hold on. And that's like, there are no bad emotions. It's just when they get
Right.
stuck and trapped, but
Yeah.
we're trying to hold on to these moments.
Yeah.
And, I have one child.
Mhm.
So I only know the perspective that I have, but it feels to me like I never get to repeat anything. And I'm curious for you with multiple children, like how do you wrap your head around what season you're in? Because the kids are all in different
They're all in different
places.
seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this season of parenthood, we have our young adult, 21, we've got our teenager, 16, the other teenager, 13, and then our preteen, 11. They're all very different.
Well,
And
last school year, you had an
oh,
elementary, a
yeah.
middle, a high school, and an adult. You
Yeah.
can't, I mean, if
Yeah.
you, suddenly have a preschool baby or something,
Yeah.
that would be the only way to extend even more, but that's wild.
Yes, it really was very different. And I do think there is something to be said about what you said about having one kid so you don't have a I don't know what the wording whether you use, not a do-over, but, like, if
There's just
one
even, like, I don't know the school, right? So, my daughter's gonna be in
Yeah,
5th grade next year, and I'm already feeling that tightness because of the transition of middle school that will come,
yeah,
and I have a shorter time period to be able to navigate the routines and the teacher, like, all of those
right.
things that come, and I take those things very seriously because 'cause I'm a little bit
Yeah.
of an intense parent. I don't know if you know that about me. I was actually on the school board for a hot minute, and it was to serve my entire district, but it also was because I wanted to get in those inner workings
Yeah.
to be able to have an impact and
Mhm,
be listened to and know that I could show up
mhm.
and because my daughter doesn't have a sibling that's
Right.
paving the way, and she's not paving the way for someone else. Um,
I think there is something to be said about that, like, you're paving her way.
mm. Yeah, but there also that leads to there's the whole idea of a helicopter parent, and I honestly would define myself as one, and I don't have a
Really?
negative yeah, I don't have a negative connotation around it because for me, I'm a helicopter parent that I'm hovering around, and yet I'm hovering around. She still is on the ground doing her own work. There's a difference. There's something called a lawnmower parent, and those
Oh, I
are the
haven't heard
parents
that.
who are literally, like, mowing the path. They're on the ground
Oh,
with their kid and they're mowing the path.
that
I
sounds
do not do
exhausting.
that. Yes. I mean, even being a helicopter parent's really exhausting, but
Being a parent in general is exhausting, I can't imagine
I mean,
taking on
I
more.
I do feel really bad for my daughter's teachers because I show up and I'm like, "Hi, so I still have a 512 math license and a K-12 principal license. I was on the school board." I don't actually say all of those things, but I do
Right.
tell them in a joking but serious way. I'm like, "I'm a helicopter parent and I'm really intense. Nice to meet you." You know, I give them a
I'm
fair
sure
warning at
I
least,
would
but
say, I'm sure they appreciate that, like, your self-awareness, and you're like, "No sugarcoating it." I think that's great.
no
I think that's
sugarcoating
great.
it. But back to the seasonal piece. So, paint me a word picture. How do you even grasp what season you're in with this gaggle of children that you have?
I think it is e easier in a way because the one has already paved the way. So,
Mm,
with my oldest, with my daughter, her story and her journey was so vastly different than the boys that while she did pave a way, it's very far off from the path that the boys are taking. So, it's kind of like doing that twice. I did it once with the oldest, but we went this direction. Now we're doing it with this oldest, and we're going this direction. But then the 2 others just kind of follow. So that makes it easier in this season, and it helps me enjoy it more too
mm,
because they all are very individual, and our parenting style is not universal. It's very specific to each child because our children are wildly all different, and so they need different parenting approaches. But it does give me peace because when the older 2 went through things, it was like, "Oh, there's all this fear and the unknowns," and like,
mm,
"Oh."
mm.
But with the younger 2, I'm like, it'll work itself out."
Yeah.
I've seen it work itself out. I'm just trying to trusting the process, and I trust myself. So I
Mm,
think that, like, the season that I'm in now, even though they're all I feel a little bit more scattered because the age difference feels bigger almost in a sense with a high schooler and a entering middle schooler. They're the 11-year-old and the 16-year-old feel much farther apart than they were when they were 10 and, 6 or 10
yeah.
and 5. They feel much different now. Um, but I think this is my favorite part of parenting because I really feel like I'm settled in kind of who I am as a parent,
Mm,
even though he's pretty much already grown and I already have a grown kid. I feel like I'm just now settled in parenthood and trusting myself and the process and that things will work it out. I've learned more about just their brains and their
mm,
development. We were literally at the grocery store this morning. My husband was telling me about an interaction he had with our 16-year-old and my response was, it's just because his brain is so tired from growing that he can't really follow instructions more than 2 things because his
yeah.
brain's distracted." I just have learned how their brains are working and not working at certain
Yeah.
seasons because developmentally that's normal and it doesn't get as frustrating. So I don't know. This is my favorite season, even though it's so different. What
I
about you? What would you say like your favorite season so far is?
so this is a very unique to my life answer, but it was, and I can even name the months. So it wasn't a season of like toddler or any of that. It
Mm-hmm.
was actually from mid January of 2021 through May of 2021. And for
Okay.
context, we were still in the pandemic.
Right.
It was the first school year of the full pandemic, and
Okay.
my daughter was in kindergarten, and I did online kindergarten with
Mm-hmm.
her because of a lot of different factors, but the number one factor was around my dad. He had early
Right.
onset dementia, and my stepmom had said, if she goes to kindergarten, we aren't going to be able to see you because they were high risk
Yeah.
and she needed to be the, primary,
Yeah.
primary caretaker, all of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had so much anxiety and angst around what was going on in the world, but also
Yeah.
in our world, because we were able to put her into in-person school, but only at the semester. So we had to make that decision.
Oh,
And it's kind of like what you said about just knowing, when they're first going through something, it's all of that fear. Like that's what
right.
anxiety is, right? Anxiety is when you're fearing the future. Depression, some people say, is when you're like lamenting the past. And so the
Okay.
only peace is really in the present moment. And I was able to be present during that
Mm-hmm.
January to May because the decision was made. She
Mm-hmm.
was going to finish out kindergarten. The world was quieter.
Mm-hmm.
I had set rituals and routines. Like, I don't know if you
Mm-hmm.
can imagine this, but the helicopter mom like flew her helicopter around our neighborhood, found other parents that were
Mm-hmm.
doing the kindergarten online homeschool thing. So we
Mm-hmm.
met every day for recess in our
Oh,
neighborhood.
I love that.
Every Monday we went to my parents' house and we would do
Mm-hmm.
like an art lesson there. Every Friday we went to my friend's house who was also doing homeschool with her daughter, and our
Mm-hmm.
kids are besties since they were little babies. So it was just this really sweet season of life
Mm-hmm.
where things were slower and
Simpler.
I was able to be, yeah,
Yeah.
and I
And
had
really use your
everyone.
gifts.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was also the season for me where I was really, in some very deep healing leading up to that. Because my motherhood was so tumultuous with healing trauma and then trauma that I really inflicted inadvertently and
Mm-hmm.
unintentionally, but upon myself with mental health and addiction struggles.
Mm-hmm.
During that time, I was really coming together with my healing. And
Mm-hmm.
that was actually when I started meditating every
Mm-hmm.
day. And I didn't start by saying, I'm going to meditate every day. I started the way that I teach people. I said, I'm going to experiment because that's part of
Mm-hmm.
a growth mindset with how often I could do this. And so that then I became certified as a meditation teacher, and I set the date for my Reiki training, which was in the
Mm-hmm.
summer of 2021. So it's just a really good spot for me to be
Mm-hmm.
present. I was really strong in my spiritual health.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then also what was following was my physical and mental health. And
Right.
so that's what I'm trying to get back to right now.
Right.
I've been in another season of different struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the second year of grief after losing my dad has been harder than the
Yeah.
first year. And then, as you know, and I've been sharing, especially on my YouTube channel, I've been dealing with a melanoma, a skin
Mm-hmm.
cancer
Mm-hmm.
diagnosis, just stage 0. So it hasn't spread. And 2 of the spots are actually pre melanoma. But I've had to have excisions that
Right.
have been really, really hard on me. And one of the excisions, it didn't heal for, I mean, it still is healing, but it was
Yeah.
really an intense journey for 18 weeks. So, you mentioned like my self-awareness, and I do lead with that. And it is a blessing, but it is also a challenge
Mm-hmm.
because it's hard for me to feel settled when I'm aware of so many things that are unsettled.
Mm-hmm.
So
I can see
that's what
that.
I'm trying to work towards, and why I lean on my village and like
Mm-hmm.
our friendship, because you are just so steady to me. and confident in motherhood. Like, and you're also confident that you're going to mess up.
Yeah, I've learned a lot through failure. And we talk a lot about expectations, and I was kind of thinking about our conversation that we had a couple episodes ago about expectations. And when I married my husband, right? We talked about how when we got married, my stepdaughter was 5, and when she came, I didn't ever expect her to live with us full time because she
Oh,
had a mom.
yeah.
And when she did come to live with us full time at the age of 10, it was through a very tragic event. And so then I was living out this unexpected expectation where it was this double-edged sword. I was happy to have her with us all of the time, but I wouldn't have wished the traumatic event on
Yeah.
her. Like, I wouldn't, if that meant that I only saw her half the time, that she didn't have to go through that, I would have preferred that because no one wants their child to experience that. But I think that's really because my biological boys, I have to add context that I don't in life refer to them as biological and non biological,
Yeah.
but for context of conversation of our digital village, I just tread lightly with that because it's really important to me to not have those definitions on our blended family. But for context here, when I had my biological boys, they were so little. And then when we got full time custody, it really did affect a lot of my motherhood journey because I fumbled a lot because I didn't know what to do with trauma. I didn't know, I had not experienced trauma. I didn't know how to parent in a trauma informed way. And we were still navigating these traumatic things even after she came to live with us. And so I have become confident in my motherhood because
Mm,
I've learned as I've gone that, like, I'm gonna mess up.
yeah.
And the reality is, the sooner that I can just own that, and if I need to apologize and make it right, I've apologized to my daughter endless amounts of times, and I will probably have to continue to do that because we're always entering into a new season of relationship as she's navigating who she is as an adult. Not that I'm trying to get it wrong, but I'm a human being and sometimes I mess up. Or coming to them and humbly saying, like, how can I support you in this? I don't feel like I did a great job at supporting you in this. What feels supportive to you? Because
Mm.
what feels supportive to you and what feels supportive to me is different. And I feel like I've just learned so much through failure.
You know, my husband is a project manager, and one of
Mhm.
the things that he has taught me through his job is that the goal is to fail fast when he
Mm,
works with teams. And, words are just placeholders for us to be able to have shared experiences. So I want to honor you in wanting to define and name, especially, for our listeners, in the way that you speak about your blended family and your boys. And I feel the same when my angel mom and then my stepmom, and
mhm.
there are pieces around that. But the beauty of not wanting to fail, but accepting that
Right.
part of being human is that we are not perfect.
Mhm.
And once you surrender that, our past episode was about prayer and connection and knowing that in our humanness, we're going to have faults. And the quicker that we can, I've been using the idea of, if I want to be in alignment here and I can identify that I'm out of alignment, sometimes that takes me reflecting and looking back several years to see
Mhm.
what it was that I can learn from. Sometimes it takes me last week. Sometimes it's
Mhm.
within the day when I'm
Mhm.
doing some reflection. My goal is to continue to minimize that amount of time
Mm, that's
so that
good.
I can course correct more
Yeah.
quickly to show up. And that's how I talk about alignment.
Right.
And for me, that's really what that alignment is, and getting aligned with whatever season that I'm in. Um,
Yeah. Well, and I think that helps too, like when we're looking at mourning the past seasons and
mm,
letting go, but still holding on because we still are in this season of motherhood and we're bracing for the next season of motherhood. That when the sooner we can course correct and forgive ourselves too, right? We have to do that. If it's part of when we look back, we think, did I do it right? Did I waste time? Did I
mhm,
miss too much? There's a lot of eyes in there. And I
mm,
think we have to forgive ourselves and release ourselves from holding on to that shame, if there is any around it, um, so that you're in alignment and you're ready and excited for the next season. Because if we're learning as we go, then we're becoming more in alignment and course correcting to really embrace the next season, which really is exciting, but
Yeah.
also scary because it feels like we're getting closer to the end of the journey,
Mm.
or it's just part of the process, mourning and embracing. But I think that's really good when we're talking about seasons of motherhood that really help.
Yeah. And just even the whole idea, you're not being held back by
Mm,
those low vibration, the low energy of shame, of guilt, of
hmm.
even regret. Like, it's not that they're not okay to exist.
Right.
It's just we need to move through them. So I want to wrap
Hmm.
up today's episode by asking you this question, Nicole. What would you say to a mom who is grieving a season that is no more and doesn't know how to move forward in this one
Mm.
that she's in? What would you say?
I would say peeling back the layers to find the root of why you're grieving it, because then you can honor it and feel that feeling. Don't put it off. Like Robin's talked about that before in other episodes. Like feeling it.
Mhm.
That is important, honoring those feelings, because then you're not just pushing it aside to come up in another, like that feeling's still going to come up one way or another. So take the pause, find out the root, honor it, and then it helps you understand how to navigate differently in the new season. Because if it is something that you want to do differently or honor and bring into the new season, then you're bringing it into the new season in a new way, not in a shameful, regretful way, but in a, okay, this is how I want to shape things so that this can be achieved. Does
Mm.
that make sense?
Absolutely.
What would you
Absolutely.
say?
I would say listen to Nicole. I think the way that you put it was really powerful, and an addition that I would add on, and it's something that I'm um, really working to exercise in my life. And I lead retreats, and I do
Mm-hmm.
different even online events where I create rituals and
Mm-hmm.
spaces to really symbolize transitions, including when you gather with people. And it's actually been Sister Gabe, who's a Franciscan sister who I work with really
Mm-hmm.
closely, who has helped me to see the power, and not only the power in using ritual and tying it into faith, but also that we're meant to do that. Like, that's part
Mm-hmm.
of, we're building this virtual village, but when ancestrally speaking, when we were in villages, we were having ceremonies around different rites of passage, which
It's true.
included seasons. And that doesn't mean that we need to get out and do anything grandiose. That's, again, there's a lot of misconceptions around what certain things need to look like, but it could
Mm-hmm.
even just be journaling about it, or
Mm-hmm.
praying about it, or lighting a candle and saying a gratitude for what was and making a wish for what could be and blowing the candle out. It's any little move that really not only recognizes, but in a way dignifies the
Yeah, that's a good word.
experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know, that one
That
just
was
came
good.
from, that was a divine
That was
tap right there,
divine
ladies. That's,
download.
yep,
Like,
woo,
mm-hmm.
real
Yeah, that
time,
was good.
real time. Well, the big thing here is, as we wrap up today, you're allowed to miss what was. You
Mm-hmm.
are allowed to feel whatever you need to feel while
Mm-hmm.
still choosing to embrace what is. You are
Mm-hmm.
spacious enough and powerful enough for all of that, especially when you're surrounded with a village to remind you of the reality of this journey that we're on in motherhood. And every season of your life and motherhood is going to hold beauty and challenges, and they all
Mm-hmm.
matter. You don't have to figure it out. You just have to keep showing up, hopefully
Mm-hmm.
with a little bit of tenderness, maybe some grace, and a little less pressure, hopefully, to love every moment, because we're not going to like some of them.
Mm-hmm.
So if today's conversation stirred something in you, we ask that you send it to a friend, because they might be sitting in a similar season or a messy place of the middle, not knowing how to grieve what was and move on to what is. So let her know that she's not alone in the longing for what was or the work to embrace it. And if this podcast has been a place of comfort for you, we'd really love your support to leave a quick rating or review. It helps us reach more moms who need this virtual village.
Mm-hmm.
Nicole and I, we're going to be right here with you in whatever season that you're in. Until next time, just breathe deep and know you're not alone in this messy middle.
Bye, guys.
Hey, before you go, we've got something just for you. We created the Motherhood and the Messy Middle Resource Vault. It's a growing library of support that's just for you. So inside, you're going to find tools from both Nicole and my work, plus resources that we mention right here on the podcast. It's free, it's sent straight to your inbox, and it's always evolving, just like you. So take what you need, leave the rest. You never know when you're going to need it or when your group chat might thank you for it. So use the link in the show notes or head to motherhoodandthemessymiddle.com to get access and welcome to your virtual village.